The transfer portal continues to roll on. We've got a lot of people that have already found homes, a couple of names that are starting to be linked to potential destinations, and one individual who I think is potentially one of the best playmakers in the portal right now is wide receiver from Michigan State, Keon Coleman. He made it official. I say official via social media that he is going to transfer from Michigan State. Would imagine the door is slightly propped open for him to return back to East Lansing, though I wouldn't bet on it. Florida State is getting a visit from him this coming weekend. Now for Keon Coleman, that would just be a great situation for him. You have a quarterback in Jordan Travis, who's a proven commodity, a team that's on a mission. But for Florida State, what would that mean for them? Because think about adding Keon Coleman to that already really dynamic offense. You got 10'2" tall Johnny Wilson on one side. You got Keon Coleman, who's 6'4", 210, 215. So two skyscrapers on the outside for you. You got Jaheim Bell playing tight end. I already mentioned Jordan Travis. This offense would be even more dynamic this coming season. You know how we feel about this kind of situation. The more weapons you have, the more issues you present for the defense because you can't double cover everybody. You can't double Johnny Wilson and double Keon Coleman and then expect Jaheim Bell to be taken care of as well. That's just not a reality you can live in. So if Keon Coleman does end up going to Florida State, this would be an enormous get in every sense of the word for Florida State with how dynamic that would make their offense. Also, there is rumblings, nothing confirmed, there is rumblings that NIL is playing a factor with Keon Coleman. We've already talked about that on this show, so I'm not going to rehash it. But if Florida State were to land Keon Coleman, I don't think it's a wildly irresponsible assumption to make that NIL would then play a factor. How about the NIL flex by Florida State if they do land Keon Coleman? I'm just saying, I think that tells us a lot about the situation that's currently going on in Tallahassee with the resources they have. So good for Keon Coleman taking a visit to Florida State. I'm also keeping an eye on LSU here. Nothing official, but the guy's from Louisiana, went to high school an hour from Baton Rouge. Keep an eye on LSU, but again, Florida State getting the visit this coming weekend. Make sure you subscribe to the On3 YouTube channel. We talk ball here every single day. The hard count as we are live right now on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but we have videos coming out every single day from this platform, from this show. So thanks in advance for that. Okay, Ben Bryant, quarterback from Cincinnati, put 2 good years together there, is coming back home to Northwestern. I say back home because, yes, he's from Chicago, Illinois, played his high school ball there. And the reason why this is interesting to me, Ben Bryant, for a minute there, before Casey Thompson jumped in the portal, was setting the quarterback market. He was the best available quarterback. So we were looking around and saying, is Auburn going to take a chance on him? Is Florida going to take a chance on him? Ends up he's going to Northwestern. Big deal for Northwestern. They were 1-11 a season ago. Needless to say, they have to upgrade that roster. It starts at the most important position with the quarterback position. Great situation for Ben Bryant. Got a chair before the music stopped with the transfer portal in terms of schools that need a quarterback and quarterbacks that are available. And he's going to get a great graduate degree too. I mean, just to call a spade here, big time move by Ben Bryant for his life. Big brain move by Ben Bryant. Feels like they have nowhere to go but up, does Northwestern. So adding Ben Bryant to that mix, at the very least, you elevate the talent in that quarterback room. All right. Now, speaking of talent, Savelle Smalls, a guy that we have told you about a few times on this very program. We told you there's smoke with Colorado. The former 5-star edge gave his commitment to Coach Prime. He is heading to Boulder, Colorado. Couple of reasons why this is significant. Anytime you have a kid that is graded a 5-star out of high school, it means he has a lot of talent. Didn't necessarily make good on that talent while he was at Washington. It doesn't mean he's not still an extremely viable option for Colorado. And Colorado also, remember what we talked about with them. They need help in the trenches. You got to build it wide. You got to have the big boys on the defensive line if you want to have a chance in modern college football. The Pac-12 isn't necessarily the SEC with how critical that is, but if you want to be competitive, the way that Colorado wants to be competitive, you got to be able to have some guys in the trenches get it done for you. So you add a big talent in Savelle Smalls. I expect for him to contribute in a very meaningful way for Colorado this coming season. We'll play a lot of meaningful snaps is essentially what I'm getting at there. Now, RJ Moten, safety from Michigan, is committed to Florida. He was a 4-star player in the 2020 cycle, 10 starts at safety for Michigan in 2022. So RJ Moten, regardless of how you feel he fit on the depth chart going into 23, this wasn't a guy that was struggling to get on the field or wasn't good enough to ever see the field at Michigan and was just a special teams guy. Started 10 games at safety for a college football playoff caliber team. So RJ Moten brings experience. He brings an experience at an elite level, having played for Michigan, obviously, in the Big Ten. He can help you in run support is, I think, the most intriguing thing about him for Florida. He's about 6 foot, 223 pounds. He can play in the box for you. You can add him in. And y'all know the SEC, smash mouth, physical brand of football being played week in and week out. You're going to need some dudes in the box to be able to get to where you want to go to. He's got 2 years of eligibility left. So not a situation where RJ Moten's just going to be a placeholder for Florida coming from Michigan. He's going to be a guy that I think you see on the field this coming season and the season after that. So keep an eye on RJ Moten. He actually had to lose some credits to make this transfer to Florida academically. So that should tell you just about how much he sees Florida as a fit for him and how much he wanted to be a part of what Austin Armstrong is doing with that defense. I'll say this, man. Austin Armstrong, I think he's one of the best recruiters right now, just given his energy, how he presents himself, how young he is. Like, if I had any eligibility left, I've told you I'd play for Shane Beamer, but Austin Armstrong is pretty high up on that list as well for guys that I'd want to talk to if I had any eligibility left to go play college ball. So those are all guys that have some smoke around where they could end up. I just gave you 3 guys that are all committed to different schools. One name that jumped in the portal, and this is not unforeseen, TJ Finley, quarterback who was at Auburn. It looked like for a while they was going to jump in that first portal window, ended up not doing that. And I have a lot of respect for TJ Finley for sticking it out at Auburn during the spring practice, to be real with you. Because in the day of modern college football, you can jump in the portal tomorrow. Well, not literally tomorrow, unless you're a graduate transfer. You can jump in the portal pretty much whenever you want. And the reality is you could go the easier route than what TJ Finley did, is what I'm trying to get at here. Guy with a lot of ability, a guy who never really put it together at Auburn, was named the starter going into this year. And there's a lot of shade probably being thrown at TJ Finley for what he didn't do at Auburn. But when you look at his body of work, the reality is there is now a quarterback who started in the SEC that's looking for a new home. I don't know who'll take a chance on him. I would love to see him go to the group of 5 level and just be a force. We'll see what happens there. But TJ Finley jumping in the portal as we expected, as you expected as well. And we'll keep an eye on where his potential next landing spot could be. But again, I just have respect for the fact that he stuck it out during the spring practice at Auburn and chose competition instead of choosing to just transfer somewhere else during that first window. A lot of respect for TJ Finley for making that decision. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.